Fan fiction audibles. Found in Sand by Chicke. Summary. Takes place in the Naruto world after the final battle in Inuyasha. The hidden villages are attacked by hordes of demons thanks to the mistake of the Akatsuki. They are in need of help. Chapter 1. Intro into a fairy tale. There was a tale told long ago, but was lost to time. None would know the tale of the Miko and her Hanyu. A tale that was full of heartbreak, love, anger, and the never to be forgotten, death. This tale centers on a young woman who just turned 15. This girl was like any other girl in her time. She thought about clothes, shoes, and boys just as much as the next girl. She was not special, but there was an air about her that told all those looking that she could be. That normal, regular 15-year-old girl was pulled down an old, dry well by something she never knew existed. In her moment of fear, the not-so-special girl became special. Powers that she never knew she had came to her rescue. When that young girl exited the well, she was no longer at home in Tokyo. Whatever that thing was that attacked her pulled her into another world. It was then that Kagome knew her life was never going to be the same again. And she had no idea just how right she was. There she met friends and foes alike. She traveled with an ill-tempered Hanyu. He was her protector, best friend, and lover. There was also Sango, the Taijaya. She was strong and slightly older sister figure, her best friend. She's only complete with her pervert of a husband, the monk Moroku. He was the older, perverted brother figure who was not opposed to getting a grope in here or there, at least until he was engaged to Sango. Hilala, the Nico companion of Sango and partner in battle. She was just as important in the group as everyone else. Then there's Shippo, the orphaned kit. His father was killed by a pair of brothers searching for the very thing Kagome broke. There they sat, upon the mission of completing the jewel that Kagome had broken, all the while fighting an evil foe. 3 years Kagome spent in the feudal era searching for the jewel. When they began making progress, they were betrayed by Inuyasha's first love, Kikyo. She was the incarnation of the Miko from the future. As time passed and all the jewels collected, things reached a stalemate. The Miko and her friends knew that if they did not defeat him, now he would use the power of the jewel and all would be lost. The evil was defeated by the Miko and her group with some help of her former enemies. But still, it was not over. The Miko still had that jewel to protect, unless a wish with pure intent was made upon the jewel. The group thought for many nights on what kind of wish was to be made until the final wish was decided upon. The wish was never written, so the only ones who know it was the Miko and her group. Whatever the wish was, had a cost that none were prepared to make. On that day, the Miko from the future disappeared. What they did not know was that she was sucked into the jewel. From that moment on, the group set out to find a place to keep the jewel that will never be found again. Missing Nin was no longer the main problem that was faced within the hidden villages. It seemed the age of demons was once again returning. Once the organization called the Akatsuki had come close to finishing their task, the souls they had captured revolted, calling others of their kind. Demons by the hordes swarmed the small island, killing, feeding, and raping the innocent, people unable to protect themselves. Ninja were being killed left and right. None of them were equipped to fight demons. Some would get lucky and engage in a battle against a weak demon and live to tell the tale. But there were those that were not so lucky, and not even a body was left to bring back to the family. Hidden villagers were beginning to become desperate. If the demon uprises were not put to an end soon, then there may be nothing left to save. The mere boundaries of each village were patrolled by village leaders, be they Kage or Hokage. It was that very reason the Kazekage was now outside the village patrolling the borders. Gaara and his siblings were walking the perimeters just outside the village gates. Though Gaara no longer housed the demon spirit Shukaku, he still held the power over the sand. No one really understood it, but they figured it was because somehow the soul of the demon mingled in with his DNA, thus allowing him to use his powers. It may be just a side effect, but that is something that will never be known.
So, Gaara, have you decided what was to be done about the demon attacks? Has Kohana sent any word?
Asked Kankuro, while walking beside his younger brother, while still keeping his senses alert for danger. He was the older brother of Gaara, and often helped the new Kazekage with his duties. So he knew that Suna was suffering, and if something was not done soon, he shivered at the thought. Gaara looked at him through the corner of his eyes while replying,
Nothing new from Sona had been received. There is nothing that can be done about the demons, only killing them as they come. The defense humans used against demons in ancient times are all lost. I wish there was something to be found that could help with the defense against demons, but sadly, there are none to be found.
The wind picked up, and the sand shifted as if replying to his wish. The sand wrapped around his wrist and tugged in a follow me message. This caught the attention of all three ninja, as Gaara allowed himself to be pulled in the direction the sand wished. Why not? Gaara thought, knowing that all his life the sand did nothing but help him. What's going on, Gaara? Asked Temari, as she watched Gaara being pulled along by the sand. She was Gaara's older sister, and she too helped her brother with the patrolling of the borders.
The sand wishes I follow.
The quiet reply of Gaara was heard as he allowed the sands to direct him. It seems like they had walked for hours. The sun was just beginning to rise when the sand fell from Gaara's wrist, alerting him that the travel was now over. Gaara stood watching, waiting for whatever it was he was sent here for. He did not have to wait long, as the sand began to move, as if digging, until finally a roof of a small shrine was revealed.
What the hell is that?
Asked Kankuro, looking from the shrine to Gaara, hoping he has the answer. It looks like an ancient shrine. Gaara, do you think that maybe there's something in there that the sand wants you to have? Temari asked in awe and surprise, ready to just jump down there and see what's in it. Gaara grunted in agreement to what Temari had said before walking down to the shrine. The sand had uncovered the small shrine, and now Gaara stands at the door. Whoosh! The sound of stale air exiting the shrine could be heard as the door was opened and the light from the rising sun illuminated the small shrine through the doors and windows. The shrine was empty except for an altar table at the center of the room. The altar had 3 things upon them. One of the things drew his eye like nothing else. There was a small pink jewel shining brightly on the stand in the center of the altar. There were also 2 scrolls on either side of the jewel. Temari, Gaara, and Kankuro walked inside the small shrine, each walking towards the shrine. Gaara was the first to reach it, and he picked up the jewel and held it at eye level. What is this? He asked himself, wondering why the sand wanted him to find this. Temari and Kankuro each picked up the remaining scrolls, then turned to Gaara. We should read the scrolls outside just in case there's traps in here against anyone that reads them, Timmy said while walking towards the door, knowing her brothers would follow. Timmy walked out of the shrine and up the mound of sand until she was standing where she was before the shrine was uncovered, and a moment later her brothers were standing beside her.
Well, open it up already, Kankuro said in an impatient tone while looking at the scroll in his and his sister's hands.
Okay, said Timmy as she opened the scroll. Once it was open, she began to read what it said. In the time where demons ruled the world, humans suffered. During this time of war, special humans with the abilities to kill a demon with nothing more than an arrow, a sutra, or a mere touch was found. They were considered the holy ones, but none were more pure than her. She came out of nowhere. Many said she was from the future and pulled into the past by destiny. Her light was unmatched. She loved all life, be it human or demon. She alone tamed man-eating wolves with nothing more than a show of her loyalty. Humans and demons alike wished to make this woman theirs, but she loved another. Her love for her Inuyasha was unmatched, but fate is a cruel master. The day the greatest evil the world has ever known was finally defeated, she was taken from her love. Many assumed that she was sent home, but some think that she was imprisoned within the jewel as punishment for her wish. Only those that were there knew what the wish was, because it was agreed upon by all. I, the writer of this scroll, was one of them. I am the monk Moroku. I wrote the scroll to place with the Shikan no Tama, in case someone was to discover it. The jewel is cursed. Nothing good could be gained from using the power it could give. Death awaits those that abuse the power of the jewel. The jewel is a parasite. It feeds you soul with power, while it taints you, consuming the user with greed. This jewel must never fall into the hands of someone who would wish to use it for personal gain. The wish seemed pure when we thought of and decided upon it, but we were not prepared for the cost of using the jewel. I remember the day like it happened yesterday, when in all reality it happened nearly 60 years ago. I am due to leave this world soon, and wanted to make sure that the sacrifice of the Shikan Miko was never forgotten. After all, the reason the demons no longer plagued the world were because of her wish. I wish that all evil demons be moved to their own world. As soon as the wish left her lips, she began to disappear. Our companions believed she was sent back to where she came from, because the truth was too much for him to handle. The truth is, she was pulled into the jewel. I can still feel her soul humming warmly within the jewel as I hold it in my palm. I cannot say names in case the shrine was discovered during her time. It is time known as the Warring States era, and the Miko was from 500 years after then. My wife and I dedicated our lives to finding a way to free her from the jewel, and I believe we found it. The trouble is, I do not have enough energy in me left to perform the summoning spell that will release her. We hope that whoever has discovered the scroll will have enough power to perform the spell needed to free her. Inside the jewel is the flesh and soul of the last Hygeia and Miko trained in the ancient way. So this humble monk pleads with the reader of the scroll to free the very woman that saved the world. After all, without her, none of us would be alive right now. The demon we defeated wanted to kill or enslave the humans of the world. Yours truly, the monk Moroku. Temari finished, looking to Gaara before asking, "What should we do? Kankuro, let me see the scroll you have." Temari finished, holding out her hand to retrieve the scroll. Kankuro handed the scroll to his sister while thinking about what the letter said. Temari unrolls the last scroll, and seeing it looks like instructions of sort. "It's the directions on how to perform the spell to free the Miko," Temari said, passing the scroll to Gaara. Reading over the scroll silently, Gaara responds,
"We shall leave to Kohana. The Hokage may have resources enough to do the spell, provided it is agreed upon," Gaara said, while placing the scroll in his pocket and putting the jewel on, then placing it beneath his shirt. "We leave tonight," he said, while turning and walking in the direction of the village.
End of Chapter 1. Found in Sand by Chicke. Narrator. Fanfiction Audibles. If you enjoyed the narration, show your support by subscribing and hitting that like button. See you next time.